Hi, and welcome to Cheer New York, My Black
Experience.
Experience. My name is Matthew Brown.
And I'm Abby Jones-Corbin.
And today we have with us the lovely Isaiah Bethea.
Hi, y'all. What's up?
All right, so introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Isaiah, but I go by Izzy. I've been on Cheer New York for 2 years now, actively 1 year, but then COVID happened, for 2 years, and I am a back spot.
All right.
All right, so.
I'm sorry, choreographer extraordinaire. Don't act shy now. We about to dig in, so be truthful. Here we go.
And I have choreographed 2 pieces for the team that has been seen by 2 million people at World Pride. Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, so Izzy, so how did you get started in cheerleading?
Okay, so in college, I was on the dance team, and for our pep rally, the president at the time of our dance team thought it'd be a good idea for us to do a collab performance with the cheer team. And when they came to our practice, they were like, does anyone want to help us stunt? And Christina, who was the president at the time, my best friend, she was like, you are really strong. You would be great as a back spot. So I went to their practice, and they literally taught me like a 5, 6, 7, 8. I was like, this is stunting. The performance was the next day, and they taught me how to do like a prep, and then like, I don't know what it is, but like you drop her and toss her, and I caught her like that, and it was just, yeah, but she flipped forward, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. So the adrenaline rush I got from stunting, the next semester, which was my last semester, I joined the cheer team and became a cheerleader, and then I took a break from 2016 to 2019, saw Cheer New York, and I joined the team, and we're here now.
Where'd you see Cheer New York at?
At the 2018 Pride Parade, I was catwalking right behind you guys, and I don't know who it was on the team, and I was like, oh my God, do you need an extra back spot? Thinking like, I would just be like, yeah, sure, jump in. And they were like, no, we're good, but we have tryouts coming soon, and then I tried out for the next tryouts. And then boom, made the scene.
Okay. So it hasn't been a long experience with cheerleading, but how has your experience with cheerleading been?
My experience with cheerleading has been like mostly good. But the only thing like that has been like kind of weird is coming from the dance world. I grew up a trained hip hop dancer. Coming into cheer was kind of like, because I'm very like boom cat, and cheer is very like, here's your 1, here's your 2, here's your 3, maybe here's your 3 and 4. Like coming from the hip hop world, it was just a hard adjustment. And in college, I mostly like stunted, because at the time in college, I was out like proud gay man, but like I didn't feel comfortable doing the cheer in front of the basketball boys. But now, if I had to. Well, I just stunted in college, and then Cheer New York was the first time that I was doing cheers and like cheer dances, and it was like a whirlwind. If you don't remember my trial, it was like deer in headlights because I was so scared. But now I love.
Did he look scared?
I
don't remember that fear part, but okay. If that's the story you're going with, yeah, we're going with it.
No, but like honestly, like like doing the cheers and like spirit, I'm just like, I don't give off that energy all the time. Like cheerleaders are very like, and I'm very like, so I learned how to turn it on and off, and I actually do enjoy it, especially when, you know, we're cheering for the queer community. That brings me so much joy.
Okay. Amen. Gotcha.
Okay, so how do you approach or handle moments where you feel as if you have to put your blackness on hold? Or have you had any type of experience like that? In cheer, regular world, dance?
Right. I don't think I've ever had to put my blackness on hold. I think as Black people, we have to naturally code switch in a white society just to get by. But to put my blackness on hold, like kind of like lower myself to like fit in, I don't think I've ever done that, because I'm so chocolate, it would never work. But in terms of like the cheer world, I think because, like I say, because cheer is very like 1, 2, 3. I think when I get the critique like not too much flavor, not too much spice, I kind of just sit there and go, okay. But it's like, if you want me to be sharper, just say be sharper. Because I think when people say, not too much flavor, not too much spice. It's like a mini microaggression, because there's many hip hop dancers, ballet dancers, tap dancers that are extremely sharp. And if you are in a rehearsal and they say, you know, be more sharper, we automatically know to be more sharper. And then the terminology for like not to add more flavor, or that just kind of always ticks me. But I always just like think of Beyonce.
Get back in.
Yeah, like very much. I'm at an award show and can't make a scene, and then I just reel it back in.
That's you sure you can't make a scene? You sure? You sure there's no scene making?
It depends.
Okay.
Performance is like tomorrow, then there might be a scene. But like if it's ahead of time, I'm good with it.
Okay, I got it.
So
let me ask you this. So let's think back to even college and things like that. You also never felt that way because you went to a predominantly
a white
school. Correct? Yes.
My school was a commuter school, and it was in Suffolk, Long Island, which is practically its own red state. But the dorms were kind of diverse. So like I was in a bubble, and growing up with a Black mother, I was very sheltered. So like even in school, not so much on the cheer team, I didn't have to really like bring my Blacknesses, but like in certain class lectures, not to like constantly bring up Beyonce, but when the whole Super Bowl performance happened, my sociology professor went on this whole tangent about how she is so disgusting. She talked about the police, and I had classmates who were like, yeah, my uncle is a police officer that was so disrespectful. And I had to put it on pause because I was like, one, I have many police officers in my family. That performance wasn't talking bad about the police, but at the time we had lost another person to police brutality, and Beyonce, being the mogul that she is, decided to take that performance at such a big thing like the Super Bowl and to bring awareness to it. And like it just, that class was so, I like once again like had to lash out. What I don't consider it lashing out, but other people might see a Black person speaking up against a white issue or a white problem as lashing out. And that's pretty much the only time that like I could have dialed back my passion for this.
But you didn't.
I didn't, because
which is good.
It was a learning experience for them, not for me, because they just see it as a one-side thing, like, we're just mad at the police, but that wasn't what it was.
Yeah, I mean, not that you say we have to educate, but at that time it called for, let me make this statement so that you can therefore either take the education from it and or ignore it, but I'm going to put it out there in space.
Correct.
Because if you don't say anything, they go on saying more ludicrous things, because there are people that will hear some feedback and be like, okay, let me adapt. Let me, reform myself. And there's people like, I don't care. And those are the people I don't have time for. I like to have conversations with the people like, I do want to change my way of thinking.
They're open to it. It's being open. It's being open. So how does your race tie into the other parts of your identity? So
like I said, that's the moment I came out of my mom's womb, Black, like there's been a moment where I haven't been like proud of being Black, like, cause I just grew up in a very like Black family. My grandparents are from the South, so my parents grew up with Southern like rules and like tradition. So that's kind of what my parents did for me. But being Black and queer in the Black community, a lot of people used to be like, oh, you're so white, you're token, you're an Oreo, you're not white, you just speak really well for a Black person. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, you speak really well for a Black person? And it didn't take until like it was middle school where I started to get defensive about stuff like that, because I have, educators and mechanics, like really like big, powerful Black people in my family. So I was like, that doesn't make sense. Like, where did you learn that logic that Black people can't be educated or talk outside? Like, I can go into speaking like Ebonics real quick, but that's the code switching I'm talking about. But a lot of people don't realize that it's the whole being educated and Black can't be the same thing.
And you bring it up because we, like you said, Ebonics, we can go back when we're comfortable, when we're with our family, friends, whatever, we just relax. We just know how to speak professionally and do what we need to do. But other cultures do that.
Right.
There are other, but it's always a spotlight when we do it.
It's a problem.
But it's a problem.
Right.
Think about it. You go to Brooklyn and parts of Brooklyn, Staten Island, Italian families that they have ways that they speak to each other. Different, like we said, we code switch. Everybody does it, but for some reason, when we code switch, it's an issue.
And it's funny because this is with all our episodes, this is a recurring thing that comes up when we talk to everyone, is about us having to code switch and people, as if everybody always associates Black with urban or Black with ghetto. But then people who ran up into the Capitol were in Black, and those were thugs.
Those were thugs. They were extremely ghetto. I don't consider myself a ghetto young lady, but those people that ran up in that Capitol, the thugs and gangsters that y'all like to call us, but then y'all like to make movies about, and they win all sorts of Oscars, The Godfather, Goodfellas. But when it's us, we're just a bunch of criminals.
Set it off. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. Which is better than The Godfather, let me tell you.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's as we're progressing with the different episodes and things are happening in the world, and every time we come back to speak to someone else, there's another piece of the pie that we have to now add into
another layer of
what we're talking about. You just brought back Beyonce's Super Bowl when we were talking about dealing with the police and police brutalities. And of course, that's been ongoing. Then at the beginning of this one, we were back at that, with the George Floyd and the Breonna Taylors. And, now here we are, and they code switched on us when it came to what happened last week at the Capitol. And
like all the
initially they were just protesters. Initially, they were protesters, not domestic terrorists.
Okay.
You understand? And so they had to be corrected,
right?
On how come Black folks, when we are peacefully protesting, we're considered, terrorists and thugs and criminals, but blatant and things happen to us on video and no one pays any attention to it.
No one. And I don't know if you saw, but like for Elijah McClain, they had a violin like visual, like it was just a bunch of people playing violins. 100 riot cops came in to shut it down.
Right.
People in one of the most secure places in the United States.
Yes, they get arrested after the fact once they go home.
Oh, wait.
Once they go home, they get arrested. We get arrested and tear gas and everything right then.
When people are just playing violins, like that. 1 + 1 = 2, but what was that? Because that math wasn't adding up.
That was new math. Common Core, I'm just saying. Something has to be up, when we go in there. Because, so, thinking about all of this, do you remember a time, because you said, growing up with a Black mom, and strong Black, family members, do you remember a time, or can you say when you remember acknowledging that you were a Black young man, black person, Black?
I think once because I went to community college first, and I stayed at home, but once I went away to dorm after, and I was with all of my friends, I think that's kind of when I saw the divide of like people seeing Black people as different, because I was having such a good time with my friends. A lot of my friends were Black in college, but at the same time I had all the people that were what you call quote unquote invited to the barbecue, and there was just a lot of people that would look at us sideways and be like, oh, ODP, which is Overdrive's Dance Project, which was our dance team, they'd be like, oh, they're just a party team. Like,
what's a party team? How do you put party and team and make that occur? Is that a thing?
And I just kind of like saw how people just saw us as, because we did hip hop dance, that we were just the team that had predominantly Black members that did hip hop. They just party, they don't do anything else. And I was like, well, we're hip hop dancers and we're proud of our culture, our Black culture. So that's when I started to really like flourish as a Black man. But it wasn't until two instances actually. Was World Pride, when we had just finished like dancing, and I was kind of looking around, and a team member, Camelo, came up to me. He was like, "You're doing it." And I kind of started to burst out and cry, because the reason why I joined cheerleading, because I wanted more representation of Black cheerleaders, especially Black heavyset cheerleaders like myself. And when he said, "You're doing it," it just kind of made me, because like, someone's going to see me, a little Black kid's going to see me, like, I want to do that. They can't know that I'm queer just from me walking, but they're going to be like, I can do that. I can be a Black cheerleader. Anyways.
I tried not to. She did it.
Regardless, they're going to see me and like, I could be I can be an out proud gay cheerleader, or whatever your identity is. And that moment to me still holds a special place in my heart. And the second was when I went to a Black Lives Matter protest, and just shouting everyone's names that has, passed from police brutality.
Yeah.
And I actually happened to walk past my grandparents' funeral home on Linden, where both my grandparents had their funerals, and my grandpa, he actually marched back in the 60s for civil rights. And it was just a moment of like, it's a shame I'm still fighting for the same thing that my grandfather was fighting for, but I know he'd be so proud of me for doing the same thing.
Right. Yes,
fighting for equal rights, because they were fighting for civil rights, which is another discussion.
Whole other right.
Right.
Because I when you said that, that just brought back 2008, when my mom, when we were voting, when it was time to vote President Barack Obama into office. And I remember my mom, who was always, just probably like your grandfather, always at rallies. And, that's what she did. She grew up, that's what you did. You stood up for what you wanted. You protested. She went to DC. She went everywhere. And to see her at the age of, 70, 75, still doing it. And she came down to DC. It was too cold to go to the inauguration, but when she came down, because I lived in DC at the time, to sit and watch her this happen, and just to think, now that we still have to keep doing this. I watched my 75-year-old, just like you said, your grandparents. They got some satisfaction, but the fight's not over.
No.
We still have to carry it on, and you would,
still on
400 years plus, like we're still
doing it.
Can somebody get it?
So that actually perfectly leads into the next question. So when is the first time you experienced prejudice because of your race? If you can remember.
I think the first time, I guess I've dealt with a lot of microaggressions. No one has actually came up to me and did anything like racist, because then I would remember instantly. But I guess in high school, one of my, I can't even call them my friends anymore, but one of my classmates wrote in my yearbook, you N-word with a hard R. JK, had so much fun in global history with you, love you. I was like, did you just call me the N-word with a hard R? And at the moment, I kind of laughed it off, like, oh, girl, you can't say stuff like. And then my parents saw it, and they was like, you cannot let people talk to you like that. Like,
they wrote it in your yearbook?
Yeah, I can show you that another time. Like, straight up wrote it in my yearbook.
And thought that was okay.
Yeah, thought it was okay. But that's how America, I'm sorry.
They've normalized it in that way.
They normalized
it. Like, I don't know if she misunderstood the difference between the hard R and the A, two things she shouldn't be even saying. But like, she tried to like kiki with it, and at the moment I was just still a reserved person, and I just like laughed it off. But like, I look back at it, I'm like, I probably would end up in jail for slapping her, because like, how do you write something like that and and she was a person of color, and I think a lot of people confuse that white people are the only ones that are racist. But
that's also what I was gonna jump on that. I didn't want to cut you off. It does have a lot to do with America, but I'm not gonna put it on America. I'm gonna also put it, and I say this all the time, on New Yorkers.
Yeah.
Because that was something that I had to get used to moving here, that people up here have normalized it to where Spanish people, all other kind of people say, my nigga, and they use the word normally, and Black people allow it. And they okay, and they say it back and forth with them. Where I'm from, that's not okay. But up here, it is. It's normal to see someone that's not Black say that, and it's just like, it's okay.
And that's mostly because in New York, a lot of minorities, Black, Spanish, Asian, are pushed into low-class neighborhoods. So people think, oh, well, I grew up in this neighborhood, I can say it. No, ma'am, you cannot.
No, you can't.
You can't. And that's a lot of problem. Like, that's a big problem in New York. Because
very big.
Yeah. I used to have a manager who was Spanish, and she would be like, yo, what up, my nigga? And I was
what?
Like,
okay, I'm a little older, so maybe, okay. I'm a little older, so maybe where I roam, we're still, at that age where it's like, bet not say, and I also say, we have to also, you say New York, I also say we've normalized it in social media, in music, so that, we've had this discussion where people are at the club, and
but that's the adapting our culture, so they feel like because I like urban culture, I can do and say all urban things.
I can sing every word of this lyric. Yeah. No, good and well, when I get to a certain point, I need to hold off. And
it's okay because I got braids in, I have on urban clothing, so I'm urban, so it's okay for me to do it. But it's not.
And I think that's why a lot of people have also, older folks and folks who tried to get younger folks and everybody to just stop using it. But in our culture, in our, in our groups, in our personal group, it's going to be harder because I don't know when it became a term of endearment or a positive term to be used amongst ourselves. That it, it's a battle. We have to figure out how to work that out.
And to touch up on that, because I see a lot of people posting on social media like, well, just stop saying it, stop putting it in your music. And it's very like, stay out of Black folks' business. Because we took a word that was used against us and
made it
tell our story. A lot of rappers and R&B artists that do say it freely in their music is because that is our culture. This is something that we have adapted for ourselves, because a lot of our culture has been stolen away or hasn't even been told to us. So who are you to tell us to stop using something that is ours?
Right.
Like, or just, if you cannot say it, then don't enjoy Black culture. Right. It's very that.
Right.
Hello.
That's why I was like, woo, we get so deep into some stuff.
Sorry, I want to add one more thing. I think we have to stop inviting people to a cookout, because that means the term you're invited to the cookout, we say it to non-Black people, and that makes them feel comfortable and empowered to just say and do whatever they want. And then I think you can't be invited to the cookout unless you don't fit these guidelines. Like, don't put no raisins in your potato salad. Like, there's the guidelines that you can't do when coming to the cookout, and that is one of them.
Raisins, I'm still back on the raisins and potato salad, my lord.
Listen,
if you got raisins in your tater salad, we got a problem.
You're not coming to my cookout.
Look, if you say potato salad, we got a problem, because it's tater salad.
And that's correct.
Very that.
That's not Ebonics. That's just how it's supposed to be.
If you say potato salad, I don't know if I'm going to eat it.
That's German. Potato salad. That's
I did. I also grew up in Long Island, so I have no. My language is very mixed.
I know.
But that's the code switch. And when I get around my country behind tater salad.
You can't help it, y'all. It's in them.
Yeah.
What goes in comes out. So you spoke about your family and a lot of people around you, and growing up. Who has inspired you to be proud of who you are?
Very simple question. No one else but my mama. I know.
I know. Miss Inez.
She is she really is a superwoman. Like, growing up, I've literally always looked up to her. Like, a little fun fact about my mom, she was taken out of her middle school and segregated into an all-white school. And right, and she told me this year, like, she had to fight for her life every day. The white students would beat her up, threaten her life, and she was like, why do you think they used to call me Patty Duke? I was like, oh, okay. I always had to fight. Like, and I just, like, for someone to go through something traumatic like that, like taken out of your own neighborhood. Like, she grew up in Springfield Gardens and had to go to school all the way in Bayside. And
she went further than me. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, like, my mom has always just been a pillar of strength. Like, before she retired, she was the manager at Chase Bank and won so many awards, but she had, behind, all the accolades, there were so many battles that she had to get through being a woman and a Black woman.
Mm-hmm.
And she would come home and cook dinner for me and my sister. And especially if we take that chicken out of that freezer after her 10-hour shift, nobody was eating, and somebody was getting their ass whooped.
Oh, you was hungry? You was hungry, huh?
Better go in there and make a sandwich.
You get you a mayo sandwich. I don't care what
cereal.
And she just, like, she's always been by my side. And whenever I need to go to someone for an extra, like, boost, it's always my mom. And she's just been so proud to be Black. She's the first person to tell me, don't let these kids tell you you can't speak educated for a Black person. You are a educated Black man through and through. And I just always, like, tell myself that when I'm having a hard day. And my mom is she's just I think many Black women around the world, they go through.
And that's actually where I was gonna comment at, is that doing so many of these episodes, and not saying this in a negative way, but do you guys find it funny how and I could be wrong, but this is just thought that's running through my mind. We have so many similarities between us and our culture. Even if were raised up north, down south, on the West Coast, when it comes to the Black family, there are so many similarities. I don't think other cultures, I feel like they are the same, but do you think that it is
that the mom is such a strong
that, and just because with everything within, like, just doing so many of these, it's not the same story. It's the same story told different ways.
Right. Same story, different books.
Right.
Yes. And there's a couple of reasons why behind it.
And that's why I was
historically speaking, and we spoke on it a couple of times. Historically speaking, the Black woman most of the time, it's the Black woman who's leading the Black family. Be it they were married and divorced, single, never met, whatever the backstory is. And there's a rainbow of them, a plethora. We've always, as Black women, speaking for a Black woman, we've been given, we've been told we've had to be stronger. And as you said it, your mom, and you said it about your mom. We're a woman. We're Black. We said it in the last episode, we are the least protected.
Most neglected.
The most neglected, and the one that is supposed to be at the bottom. You understand? We're not supposed to be the vice president of the United States. We're not supposed to be senators and congresswomen. We were supposed to be at home or in the field. Maybe even like they gave us the teacher thing. Like that was like, okay, if anybody's going to teach your own, it'll be us. But we weren't supposed, we are supposed to be strong. If we think about it, historically speaking, they took our men from us in the field. We were separated. So we had to, all of these children that we had to make sure that they still were strong and fed and believed in themselves. And so I think it still happens from generation to generation, that we just have this innate strength that we're supposed to have. And I you know, that's, I'm not a sociologist. I'm not, you know, deep in that. You know, my daughter could probably come on here and spit some knowledge on some, you know, historical facts and the black facts and Tallahassee Coates and you know, and James Baldwin and all these people that come in. I'm just telling you from experience, speaking as a Black woman raising children. I was married, divorced, doing it on my own, and still, you know, instilling in them what needed to be done. Being raised by my mom, I had a father in my life, but I was raised by my mom. So I can only go on, you can only go on the experience that we have, and that one thread that continues to constant is that Black woman. I don't care.
And that's why I brought it up, because it's just, the more of these we do, it's a constant that's there. It's a constant.
It's something there. I don't know if, you know, I just thank God that I have that I was raised that way. I was given it. And I listened to her, and as long as, you know, we share like we're doing now, you're sharing, you share, I share, and we continue to share. Hopefully people will see it and believe and understand that that's what it is, and that's what they have. And
I think that's why I think this platform is so, because I'm not gonna lie, I honestly was not gonna come on and do this. It took some convincing from other people, because I came out of the closet when I was 21 years old. I'm 26 now, so I didn't start living until I was 21, so I've only been living for 6 years. And I like to call it my Malcolm X phase. I just don't have the time for ignorance and racism. And I don't feel it's the job of a Black person to educate non-Black people. There's so many resources in the 21st century that are available.
If you want to be educated, you can educate yourself.
Do it, but a few people reached out to me and told me that this platform is allowing people to hear stories, and they can learn from the stories, our struggle, so that when they're in a situation where I get passionate about a situation about how people are treating Black people poorly, you're not going to go and be like, well, you're very passionate about this. Like, you know, you're very angry about this.
Passive aggressive comments.
Yeah.
The shade of it all.
I think learning from everyone's experiences will, I think, honestly minimize all the microaggressions, because I think most microaggressions are unconscious bias or unconscious racism.
Exactly.
They don't know. So I wanted to come on here and tell my story so that people don't just assume that they can be like, well, don't add too much flavor to that account. If I wanted to add a little hip, I'm going to. Just tell me to be sharp, and then that hip will still be sharp and still on that 3 and 4.
I do it all the time.
I mean, you know, there's a way for people to progressively learn, because a lot of people will sit there and post their Black squares and be like, I did something today. Well, good for you. Because like, what did you learn from this?
Not that it moved anything in any direction, but okay.
Right.
I like your Black square.
And I also feel like people pity Black people. Like when, you know, coronavirus started and 45 was saying it was the Chinese virus, and Asian people in America started to get, you know,
feel some type of way.
Right.
You know, like they started to deal with like racism.
Being assaulted on the train.
Right.
Rude stuff saying to them, getting spit at, all kind of stuff.
Right. Was anyone picking up the phone and be like, I'm sending love your way? Like, do you need a hug? Are you okay? I don't think people are doing that. Same thing when 45 was like, I'm building wall. Did anyone pick up the phone and be like, oh, sending love your way, da, da, da. But when it's a Black related issue, as Black people, we get all these messages from our non-Black, like, I'm sending you love and energy. But where's that energy going towards everyone else? Do you know, like, do you see where I'm going with this?
Yes.
Black people, keep that energy for everyone in your circle. When anyone's going through a hardship, just don't feel that you feel obligated to say, I want to reach out to my Black friend because some Black person was murdered on a train. Just because, you know, I know they're okay.
I'm going to dig into that, what you just brought up, because I remember those times, because I work in a predominantly Asian school, in a predominantly Asian neighborhood. So when it first happened, you know, with the coronavirus, I'm not going to call it the China virus because that's just ignorant.
Because he's ignorant.
Because he's ignorant. The coronavirus, and that started happening in that neighborhood. Me being who I am and knowing, my whole thing was like, okay, everybody, y'all, we're not going to do that to these people. Like,
right.
And then even when it was building the wall and the brown people, I'm like, okay, hold up. I think we look at it differently, and we do things, and you know, I will be open, like you said. I don't show pity. I do it to everyone because I know what it's like when it comes, what it feels like. So I'm the first one, like,
how Black people are raised to be.
But see, but
that's what I'm bringing up.
Yes.
That's how we're raised.
Yes.
We are told, you know, I'm more open. I want to make sure everybody's okay. I guess I'm empathetic, sympathetic, whichever way. The empathy and the sympathy. Not all of us, but majority of us, because we know what the struggle feels like.
If you ain't never sat over there on the side of the fence, you're not gonna feel what we feel.
You're not gonna feel
or think how we think
when things happen. So when our thugs and stuff who stormed the Capitol made it to the airport, and then all of a sudden they on a no-fly list.
Can't get through.
They can't get through. It's like, what do you mean? How come? Why not? Well, why not?
Right.
And I say this all the time. White people want to be oppressed so bad. Let me tell you, it's not fun. Okay.
No.
Right. Thank you.
Fun. Like,
no, it's not something you want to be. So, you know, it Lord. I lose my words because it's just so much.
Black people, I think when situations happen to us, because they've been happening to us for 400 years, speechless is normally the first thing that comes out.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to feel because my feelings are invalid to the world. It's not really just America,
but
the world.
So then when it happens to them and they start, you know, bringing it up and saying it, and we're like, and my favorite thing is, welcome to my world.
Correct.
Welcome.
A lot of people think that BLM started with just George, Breonna, and Ahmaud. That started a very long time ago.
Very long.
I don't understand why a lot of people are like, this is the time to acknowledge Black Lives Matter. I'm happy that you've came to the party, but you also need to go back and do your research on what the organization.
How long this party has been around?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Absolutely.
I am a man.
I think that will never change until people in America and people who have platforms, even like on the news.
Right.
Just to touch back on that, when the storming of the Capitol happened, and I think all of us, pretty much all of America, around 3-4 o'clock, we all started tuning in to the news. And one thing I noticed on my social was, on Instagram and Facebook, everyone Black, the first thing that we started talking about was the fact that the big difference between when Black people were protesting, how it happened, and what happened at the Capitol, how different it was. When you looked at the news, they kept skating around that. They didn't want to directly say, there is a big difference between what happened when it was Black people and what happened when it was white people.
Right.
They were skating around that. Nobody actually wanted to directly say exactly what it was.
It took a little while, and then it took those outsiders. It took those outsiders, but it also took some of the reporters who are no holds barred.
Right, which is who
finally said, yes. Hey,
there's a difference.
Do you see this difference right here? Because I was holding my breath with bated breath, waiting for shots fired. I'm serious. Waiting for shots fired.
Even like a pepper spray, none of that.
Something. And for me, it hit home personally because I had 2 Black members of the Capitol Police, family members, friends, in that building. Black, one male, one female, in that building. So I'm waiting with bated breath going, I know that this isn't right, something isn't right.
Right.
But two things was happening. One, I know that there are racist people on that force.
Yeah.
And that force, the force behind it, has racist undertones and racist folks.
The foundation
So
is racist.
It was in there to begin with. And then, so not only do my family and friends have to now, while this is happening, worry about those coming in, but worry about those that are already
there with them. Yep.
And I think that's what the fight against police brutality is also about. It's fighting for the good cops that a lot of people like to mention to negate the true meaning of BLM. But to fight police brutality means that we're fighting for those cops that want to speak up, that want to stop their coworkers from doing ignorant stuff. But they can't because they risk losing their job. They risk being like hazed at work for speaking.
Right.
Yes.
A lot of people don't realize that BLM, or just like people who want to end police brutality, is like we want to make sure that the good cops that do want to protect and serve for everyone have the opportunity
to do so.
Correct. But it doesn't make sense that we can sit here and have this conversation and make common sense of it, but why doesn't everybody else see it like that? Why doesn't everybody else? There was the video release of the police officers opening the barricade and letting the people walk in. Like, and we can look at it and say that's not right, but why don't the rest?
Because then they have to come face to face with reality and truth.
Yeah. And nobody wants to.
And they're not ready for that.
Yeah.
They're not ready for the reality and the truth. That's just too hard right now because it's been easy. So why would, if you've had it easy, why would you take the time
to make it
harder? And it's actually not harder, but in their minds, that's going to make it harder because now I have to live up to a standard. Now I have to make sure that the people around me are doing what they're supposed to do. I have to make sure that I teach my children the right things in the correct way. You know, I've been able to skate for this long. Why now do I not have to skate? Why make it harder for me and mine?
And that adds to people being scared of change. They don't want to break their traditions. But if your tradition is stopping you from being a racist, then you have to look at yourself and be like, well, I guess I am a racist. People don't want to do that.
I'm using social media. Think about all of these, TikToks, Instagrams and stuff of those millennials, the young people who were like looking at their parents like, anytime they bucked on their parents' way of thinking, like, how can you believe that? That's wrong, mom and dad. And then the parents bucked on them like, okay, get out of my house. Not, let me listen and learn from the youth, or maybe there's a nugget. Let me take my time and figure it out. Right. It was like, oh no, you got to go. Like, so then you're not going to reap the benefit. You're not going to reap the benefits of me believing this.
Right.
You're going to have to go. It's going to be harder for you. And I applauded those young people who were like, well, then it's just going to have to be hard for me because that's just wrong. But what happens is most of them are like, oh, well, I'll just believe what they believe because I don't want it hard either, and that's one thing that I know Inez didn't let you have anything easy. What? Like you said, you ain't take that chicken out, but I'm gonna be mad, I'm gonna bust you up, but I'm gonna still figure out a way to feed you. But right now, I'm gonna let you.
She always found a way because I love to eat. So always did find a way to help me eat, even if I did forget to take out the chicken.
Yeah. Or what you didn't know, or probably didn't know, and like my kids would tell me now, and I know there were times when I didn't eat, but I made sure you did.
Yeah, my mom. A lot of these adult conversations that I'm having with not just my mom but my parents, where they had to put their happiness aside for us, and doing that as a Black person in a white world, that just, it's so much more weight on top of them, because I'm out here working all these hours knowing I'm not getting paid as getting paid the same amount as my white counterparts, and I have a family to take care of. So I really do commend, like you were saying about generations of Black people, like sometimes Black people do have a narrow view of certain things because It's like, this is how we survive.
Right. Yes, the world put us, and we talked about that before.
Yeah.
Because of how the world is, that's why we act the
Survival
thing.
mode.
Yeah, exactly.
Survival mode.
We don't have the option to think differently and have all these different viewpoints because the world won't allow that. Because if we don't, we won't survive.
Like I tell, and I know Inez probably said to you, you know, there's been times we've made it happen for you. Like we make sure you had what you got, you know, what you wanted. You had what you needed, but we also gave you some of the things that you wanted.
Right.
But we made sure you understood the difference between the two.
Correct.
I didn't have good grades. I would get nothing that I did not need. It was either good grades or nothing.
What?
Look,
hello?
It wasn't an option.
That was
it wasn't an option.
That's your reasonable service.
I was able to not have a job up until I was 19 years old because I always did well in school. So
Same.
I had to go away to college. She was like, all right, for you to get a job. But that comes from, like I was saying, like the generational thing. Like if you weren't smart or you didn't get a city job, you couldn't succeed in white society. You couldn't do it. So like Black people normally have like educators or people that had the city jobs because those were the most paying jobs.
Bus drivers, fire department, police department, transit workers, you know, working for the city.
Yeah.
Anything, like you said, they took the test, we're gonna get a city job, and they retired. And I'm a little bit upset with some of my family members because they are now getting ready to be retired from their city jobs, and I'm still working.
And that was the minimum for Black people. That was your ceiling. You get a city job, work it for 20, 30 years, and retire. We didn't have the range to go out and be creative. That was, it was shunned. Like, oh, you want to be a dancer? You want to be a musician? You can't make no money like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They still, and if you listen to some parents, they still saying that now.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can do that and this.
Something else.
I'm gonna need you to have something and that.
So when was the first time that you would say you experienced joy in your race?
Joy in my race.
And not at a Beyonce concert. I'm just kidding. That was it. That's it. I'm just messing with you.
No, but I can't think of. I've always been very proud to be Black. You know, my dad's a elevator mechanic and always made really good money, and my mom was the manager at Chase Bank. So I had two pillars of, you know, good examples of what it was to be proud and Black. My grandmothers, they were maids for rich white people, but they did that so that they could provide for their family. And I was like, you know, it just makes me so proud to be Black because we never give up, you know? We always do something to get by, to keep a smile on, even though a lot of people say tough times, but we have tough lives. Living
Look at you. Look at you spouting quotations and things. Look, I know. We're going to put that on the shirt.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That's a
good one.
We're going to remember that. We're going to
I'll take 10%.
What'd you say?
10%, please.
I got you, boo. I got you.
Mm-hmm.
I got you. I got you. We're going to trademark. TM. Okay.
So, how do you showcase your pride in present day? Pride in being a...
Sorry.
Pride in being a Black man. How do...
That's, if y'all didn't know, that was a private joke.
It's an inside joke between me and Mr.
How do you showcase your pride in present day?
I showcase my pride by, you know, I'm a dancer, so like I make sure that I'm always putting out content on my social media to show that, hello, we are here. And we're not going anywhere. TikTok had this whole big thing where a lot of the white creators were benefiting off of the Black creators, such as the Renegade situation. And a lot of people were like, no, I'm done with TikTok. And I found this video where someone was like, no, we're not going anywhere. We're staying here. We're going to continue to make our content so that we don't have to always run to another place. And I think most of my pride of being Black is coming from going into places and being a representation for Black people. So just being on Cheer New York.
Mm-hmm. No, understanding that point that representation matters. And I think that's something that, even though we say it and some people get it, but we also have to realize that a lot of people, they hear it and they say it, but do you really understand and grasp that concept in all areas and walks of life, regardless of if it's a doctor or
representation matters. When I go to the school, I'm not a teacher, I'm not the principal, but when I walk the building, when I deal with the people, and I notice that there are students that'll come up to me, Miss Corbin, are you the assistant? I carry myself to make sure that they know, do as I do.
Yeah.
Not just as I say, because I want you to see what a strong Black person looks like anywhere.
Yes.
When I walk outside the door, I want you to, representation matters. When I go to the bank, when I go to the grocery store, when I'm on the bus, when I'm on the train, definitely Cheer New York.
That's why I love when we do have events when the world is open and we take our Black Magic picture, and because it's hanging up right there.
Oh, I see it.
Oh, yeah.
Because someone's gonna see it and be like, wow, there's so many of you doing it. And at World Pride, we don't just take, the Black Magic picture. Everyone comes and celebrates their own culture.
Yes.
And someone was like, why don't we just take a group picture of everyone? And I kind of looked at them because it's important. People need to see that we celebrate everyone. And I kind of hate the term, I don't see color. Well, I'm sorry, they make glasses for that. You need to.
You should see color. You should.
You should
see the color. It should not make a difference how you treat the different colors.
Correct.
But there's a reason why they're different colors.
Right, and it's special because there's a lot of people that I didn't know that were biracial, because they're like, well, I'm going to be in this picture. Oh, I can be in this picture too. And you get to really learn by seeing color.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Very, very true.
So, what is the one word, give us one word, to express your Black boy joy?
Black boy joy.
I'm sorry. Black girl magic.
Black boy joy.
My Black Beyonce magic, thank you.
Yes.
I would say trailblazer.
Oh,
look at you.
That's my good one.
Look at you with a capital.
We keep getting good ones.
I say trailblazer because Black people are Black people are always imitated, never duplicated.
Hello.
Look at you.
Hello.
We are pioneers of many things. And just one example is one of the most awarded artists of all time are 3 Black people: Michael Jackson, Beyonce, Whitney Houston, of all time. And that's just the music industry. I can go on about other industries that Black people excel at when we have the opportunity, because that's what Viola Davis said in her Emmy speech. The only thing that separates us from them is opportunity.
That's it.
And even when we don't have the opportunity and we have to work 10 times as hard to be seen, we start trends, we trailblaze. And I think that's so powerful when thinking about Black.
Yeah, because now that you think about it, I am a trailblazer.
You were the trailblazer for the Million Man March, right?
Look at you. I'm going to need y'all to be nice. Be nice on the episode.
That's what I got. It's all love.
It's all, I'm going to say, tell the truth. Shame devil. I'm used to it. I know how this works.
Yes, exactly. Well, Izzy, thank you for joining us. This was a great conversation. Thank you for sharing your story with us.
Even though you didn't take the time out to teach us a TikTok while we were on the show, but it's okay. I'm just going to throw that out there.
I'll be teaching TikToks between the hours of 7 to 10 when Cheer New York starts up again.
Oh, okay. Gosh, here we go. Yes. Well, viewers, thank you guys. Thank you for joining us as well. Please make sure you follow Instagram, share, Facebook, Cheer New York, YouTube. Look us up. like everything, all of that great stuff. We love you all, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Cheer New York, My Black Experience. Love you all.
Love you all.
Bye.
Bye.